Do you have any recross based only on what has been inquired of since you last inquired, Mr. D'Angelo?
Yes. Can I have the cartoon exhibit or whatever we got there?
1210?
Send the warrant to the county. We didn't use it, but we put the number on it. There isn't that date. But we can put it on the Mondo pad if you want.
No, this is fine. May I approach you with this, Your Honor?
Sure.
Showing you State's Exhibit 1210. That's the...
We actually didn't put it in, right? 1210 because he...
No, I know it's not in evidence, but it was, the witness was inquired of about
Okay,
it.
all right.
That's a... does that exhibit, Agent Soraya, is that the duplicate of the image that was posted on the Mondo pad before?
Yes, sir, it is.
And would you read the bottom part to the right? What does that indicate?
Mass rally Monday, April 29th, 2013 at City Hall, 6 p.m.
Okay, so this exhibit is basically attacking or mocking the police, isn't it? And Officer Brelo in particular, correct?
Objection.
Overruled.
I don't know about mocking him or not. It's calling attention to the incident and apparently trying to draw attendance to a rally.
Okay. So this is not something that, from a rational review of it, would be something that fellow officers prepared. This is rather something that opponents of the police in this matter prepared, and there is a rally that they're holding, and they're distributing these pamphlets, correct? Or this leaflet, whatever you want to call it.
Apparently, yes, sir.
And knowing human beings, and in particular police officers, it wouldn't surprise you, would it, to see something like that posted in the district to basically call attention to look what we're being attacked with, so to speak?
No, sir.
So it didn't surprise you to learn if that's the document that was in the second district, it wouldn't surprise you to find that there, would it?
Probably not.
The judge asked you questions about Officer Graves and trying to block cars, or put cars together to block and stop the Malibu that was fleeing the police. From your investigation in this case, did you discover that the Cleveland Police Department has policy that prohibits officers from using their cars to ram other vehicles?
Yes, sir.
And part of the reason for that is the potential injury to officers or third parties, correct?
I don't recall the reason behind it. I know they're not allowed to ram, and as far as the pit or pursuit intervention technique, they've never been trained in it.
Right. One officer in the statement, I think it was Ricky Shepard, he wanted to do the pit maneuver, but he stopped because he knew that he'd get in trouble for it, right? He'd get put up on disciplinary charges.
I don't know if I interviewed Officer Shepard or not.
Okay. Do you remember seeing his interview by chance?
Not particularly.
Okay. Do you remember from reviewing the investigation that Officer Diaz somehow tried to maneuver, make a half-hearted attempt to tap the vehicle so maybe it would spin and get out of control, then they could stop it?
He indicated he thought this was going to turn into...
Objection?
Sustained.
Okay.
And here, I have to be candid with you. That's not what I was after. What I was wondering is, would it have been considered some sort of legitimate tactic to try to have one or more cars block the driveway so that the Malibu would have had to have either stopped or rammed them trying to get out?
Okay.
And my question is answered.
And just to follow up, though, that your investigation reveals that the police are not allowed to do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. Sir, appreciate your testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse at this point. He or she won't be called right now, but does the state have another witness, Mr. McGinty?
Yes, Your Honor, we have one short witness. We're expecting a 10-minute witness.
Name of?
Trina Williams.
Why don't you
Sister
have...
or cousin of the victim.
Have her ready at
She's ready and here.
1:35, if you would.
Okay. thank
Well,
you.
actually, the person standing here right now, we'll go off the record for a second. You okay, Rob? You want to go for another 10, 20 minutes?
We could put her on a
I need a little break. We'll take a less than 1 minute break sitting here. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear you will testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, ma'am, if you watch that cord, we'll come up this way. Watch this step here, too. Please have a seat there, and please speak in the microphone.
Hi.
Thank you, Ms. Roach.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Ms. Williams, please state your full name for the record. Trina Marie Williams. And are you currently employed? Yes. You were actually at work today, were you not?
No, actually I'm off because I have the flu bug.
Okay. Ms. Williams, are you aware of the reason that you're down here today?
Yes.
And Malissa Williams, what was her relation to you?
She was my first cousin, but we more like sisters. We grew up from babies together.
Now explain to the court how you knew Melissa and how you grew up together.
Well, my grandmother, she took us in from birth because our parents was, unable. They were still young and were not, ready to take care of kids. So she stepped in, and took both of us in. We were born the same year, just months apart. So that made us very, very close. And that's how, we ended up growing up together.
Now tell us about your duration of growing up together. And
well, in my grandmother's house, it was from birth until about maybe 11 years old. That's when she passed away. And then from there, my grandmother passed away. So, but we was always still together even after that because, our family tried to keep us all together because we grew up in the same house. My grandmother had a huge house, and they tried to keep us, with each other. And
did there come a time when you were separated?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, when we got separated, they had to find somewhere for all of us to live at because it was a total of 13 of us in her house. So we had to go to aunts' houses, extended family members, houses, wherever we could actually go, because there was 13 kids in that house that had to be placed somewhere when she passed away.
So where did Melissa go and where did you go?
Melissa, she went to her grandmother's house.
Was it her real grandmother?
No, it was not her real grandmother, but we thought she was, so, we respected her like her grandmother. And she went there, and I went to my Aunt Dot's house. But, I was kind of like unruly a little bit because I was like just devastated that my grandmother was gone. She was the one she was our foundation. She taught us everything we needed to know. She kept us in school. She kept us looking nice. So in no way did we feel like we was coming up in a broken home. We felt like we was normal kids. We had everything any other kids had. We went to school. We looked nice every day.
How was Melissa in terms of schooling around that time?
Well, Melissa, she wasn't that good at school. I was a smart kid, just picking up on things. So, you know, and I knew that, she couldn't grasp the stuff in school. So, I mean, me just being a kid, and wanting her to move on with me because we were the same age in the same grade, I would help her out, with like her classwork, homework. Sometimes I would even do it for her because she couldn't comprehend it. No matter how many times I would show her, because we used to play a game when we was younger where it was called school. So we would set up like chairs and stuff and tables, and all the kids in the neighborhood, including some of my cousins, would be there, and they would all sit down, and I would be the teacher. So, and that's how we would keep up on, what was in classwork. That's how I found a way to try to help her and my other cousins to keep up with me, because it was a couple of us that was the same age, and I didn't want to be like the only one excelling, and they were falling behind.
Okay. So you said that Melissa went to live with her grandmother. It wasn't really her grandmother, but you all respected this lady because you thought she was Melissa's grandmother. Mm-hmm. Did there come a time where Melissa was with her grandmother and you was living somewhere else and you all came together again?
Yeah, when she was with her grandmother and I was being like real bad in my Aunt Dot's house, her auntie Carol, which is, Bee's daughter, said that I could come and live with her. So that was Melissa's side of, quote unquote, not really, side of the family that I went to go live with. I went to live with her auntie Carol, so we was with each other every day then as well. We went to school together, you know what I'm saying? We would meet up. She would sometimes pick us up. Sometimes we would walk, because it was like in summertime, we would walk and meet each other and go to school like that. And she still wasn't, she couldn't get it in school. So then I just got used to it, like, she just didn't know. And I was a kid, I really didn't know that it was like, mental health stuff. I didn't know about all that stuff then. I just thought like, she just couldn't get it.
Did there come a point in time when you were separated where Melissa had went away for a while?
Yeah, when she went to move with our auntie, well, her aunt, I call her Auntie 2, Auntie Lynn, which is still on that father's side of the family. She went to live with her. That's when we got separated, because Lynn had her like very restricted. No out of the house. You go to school, you come back in the house, that's it. Because she really didn't know how to like take care of her, so she just put her on a strict, routine so she can be able to keep up with her.
Did there come a time where you saw Melissa again and you realized that something had changed about her?
Yeah. The first time I realized it, we were at the shelter, because I ended up at the shelter too for about I was there maybe 2 months. And the whole time I just spent time with her, and I would sit and, just talk to her, try to understand her, even amongst all the babbling words that she would just babble out and say, I still could understand, because it was just that connection. I knew what she was trying to tell me, and I would try to stick to that subject to get out of her what was going on with her.
And childhood, did you know about drug use, Melissa?
Well, as far as childhood goes,
or adulthood, I should say.
Well, in adulthood, the drug usage, started because she had some tragic, situations that happened to her. And I mean, I feel like what happened to her, anybody would turn to possibly drugs or something to hide what had happened.
You knew about what happened to her?
Yeah, because she told me the whole story. She sat down and told me everything that happened to her when she was, went down south with that family that was supposed to protect her, and they didn't. She was only about maybe 18 or 19 when she went with them down there, and I don't know if I can say it, what happened to her, but she got gang raped when she was there. She was drugged and gang raped while she was there. And from that point, she never was the same. That was it. It was it for her. She turned strictly to the streets, tried to live with family members. That was no idea anymore. Like being around family, that was over. Everything was over. All she saw from that point on was just the street life. Like that's where she felt more herself.
And you said that you were in the home, I believe, for a couple of months. Did you eventually move out and start working?
From the shelter? Yeah. I got a job as a nurse's assistant. I got a job, and I got me an apartment. And even then, you know what I'm saying, as close as we was, I offered her several times, like in several of my places, to come and move with me. But she never felt comfortable, you know what I'm saying, being in a normal environment.
So when you work at these, was it nursing homes you worked at?
Mm-hmm.
Did you still get to see Melissa often?
Mm-hmm.
How?
I seen her every day.
How?
Because where she hung out at, you know what I'm saying, I worked there. And this was like, I mean, I was in her life all her life. Let me start by saying that. It may have seemed like because she was at a shelter that nobody was in her life, but I was always in her life, even at the shelter. You know, because I would help her out with things that she needed at the shelter that she didn't know how to do, and the workers were too swamped with things that they had to do, that something that was major to her was simple to them and they didn't have time for it. I would step in and go out of my way and make sure that she had it done and how she should do it.
If you changed jobs, would she hang out with different jobs?
Yeah, she's been at several nursing homes where I hung out because I work normally on the west side, and she would be there waiting for me after work. Before work, I would see her. I would take my lunch breaks. I would see her, you know, and I kept up with her, what was going on with her, you know. So I was always there. Even when I had my apartments, she had an apartment right down the street from me. You know, even when she had her other apartment that the county helped her get, you know what I'm saying, I was right there. You know, she called me up. She like, you know, hey Trina, what you doing? She was like, I got my own place. I'm like, well, I'm coming right now to come check it out.
So up until her death of November of 2012, were you still in contact with Melissa?
Yeah, I was still in her life. I mean, I had seen her before that incident for maybe like 3 or 4 months, you know, but I knew exactly where she was. I knew she was down at the shelter, and I felt comfortable with that because a lot of people that's at the shelters, you know, a lot of them are, you know, have mental health situations or they've been through tragic situations. So she felt comfortable being there because I knew for a fact, you know what I'm saying, that she did not have to be there at the shelter like a homeless person. Because, you know, when I was trying to help her take care of her business when I lived down there, I knew how much she had in her account and everything. And I knew that if you got over $1,000 in your account, that's an apartment right there. And, you know.
Did she choose to be there?
She chose it. She chose to be there. She felt comfortable. These people are people that has been through some of the things she's been through. No matter how much I can love on her, I still cannot relate one-on-one to what she went through. I still cannot talk to her and say what she was feeling, you know what I'm saying, every day. I couldn't relate to that, no matter how many times I talked to her. You know what I mean? So those people down there was her comfort zone, you know? That's where she felt comfortable. They was people that been through what she had been through. There were people that were like her. So she chose to be around them, and I respected that. And I understood it, you know what I'm saying? And I would, you know, people knew me because they knew I was her cousin. You know what I'm saying? So when they see me, you know, they would talk to me, give me updates and everything on her because they knew who I was, you know what I'm saying?
Did you love Melissa?
With all my heart. With all my heart. Like, I mean, honestly, I really feel like she should not be gone because for the simple fact, she didn't even, straight out the box, as a young kid, she didn't even know what was going on. She wasn't aware. You know what I'm saying? I was cheating, doing her homework, doing her classwork, trying to pull her through, but she never knew from the beginning. So I just tried to help her, you know, because I didn't want her to be left out. So I tried to help her as much as I could, you know, along my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I tried to, like, be her savior, but I didn't have,
I understand.
I didn't have the tools, you know what I mean, to, like, help her, you know. I didn't know what all it took.
Thank you, Trina.
You know.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Royster. Is there any cross-exam by the defense? Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams.
Hi.
You were interviewed concerning this case back in December 2012. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I recall talking to a guy, yes.
All right. And during the course of the conversation with law enforcement, you indicated that sometimes Melissa could get pretty angry. Is that correct?
Yeah, she would get angry.
And that when she would get angry, there were those occasions where she would threaten people and say that she was going to kill them. You recall saying that?
Honestly, no, I don't recall saying that. But can I speak on that? Okay, if I said that, she never was physically violent. It's just her way of protecting herself because that person, she's afraid of them. In some type of way, she feared them. You know what I'm saying? That they might have more control over her, more power over her in that situation. And that was her biggest issue. So, let's say I did say it. But my thing is about it is that she was the type of person, she would blurt out and say all types of things. But we knew for a fact she's never physically hurt nobody. We've dealt with it all her life.
But you indicated that she would talk violent all the time. You recall saying that to the police, don't you?
Yeah, I remember telling them that, yeah, she do, you know what I'm saying, blurt out, you know, violent things.
And in fact,
when she's angry.
When you were interviewed, you told the interviewer that she would threaten the police all the time, threaten to kill them. You recall telling them that?
No. No, sir. I don't recall telling them that she would threaten the police all the time. What I do remember telling them is that the police was harassing her at the shelter, and she would, you know, make, you know, comments, probably threatening comments. I wasn't there per se to say what she was saying, but she would, you know what I'm saying, make comments back towards them because she felt threatened by the police. She knew that they had the upper hand on her, even in that shelter, you know, period.
But when you were interviewed, did you volunteer that she was threatening and using threatening language toward the police? Was that something that they asked of you?
You said, is that something that they asked of you?
Yeah, did they ask you that, or is that something that you volunteered?
Well, I'll be honest with you. They asked me about maybe 150 questions in one quick roundabout. So some of those answers could have been out of just anger. Some of those answers could have been out of anything. I can't even say right now, but they asked me a round of a whole lot of questions, fast. They got me, this is how it happened. They got me on the phone. They start asking me questions straight out the box. Question after question after question after question. That was it. Okay. So any of those questions that you might have on paper or record or whatever, you know what I'm saying, 90% of them I may not recall, but I will be honest about anything up here.
Your interview was back in December 2012. Mm-hmm. You also indicated, in addition to crack and weed, she also used PCP. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. You recall indicating that? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's something I know for a fact, that she used drugs.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Do you have any redirect based on what you just heard, Ms. Royster?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Royster. Actually, I had one question. Ma'am, I have seen your cousin's name, first name spelled two different ways. One starting M-A-L-I-S-S-A, the other starting M-E-L-I-S-S-A. Do you know which is correct?
I've always spelled her name M-E-L-I-S-S-A.
Right. Thank you. Anything based on that, Ms. Royster?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mack.
No, Your Honor.
Ma'am, thank you for coming down here. I appreciate it. Your excuse. Does the state have another witness, Mr. McKenzie?
We do not, Your Honor. The state of Ohio was prepared to arrest with the understanding that the weapons, if I understand our stipulations and agreements with counsel, that the weapons from the officers are accepted as coming from the officers, so we don't have to bring in further police officers who actually took the weapons from the individual officer regarding the weapons and the eventual shell casing ejection testing.
Does your opponent have that stipulation?
And subject to the admission of the other two.
Well, on that subject, then, here's what we'll do. take a normal lunch with a little bit of extra time so that you can have a lunch, a break, and then also discuss exhibits. But when we next go on the record, I would like the state to be able to say you're offering, I don't want to hear 1, it's a police report, 2, it's a map, 3, it's a model, something like that. I just want to hear 1 through 20, 33, 34, 40 through 60, or whatever, kind of the way we did the ones that are already in. Then I'm going to ask your opponent, do you know what the things she or he is referring to are? I assume you will say yes, because you're going to have this conversation. And then I will say, are there any that you don't object to? Hopefully there will be some good number that you don't object to. All of those are almost certainly admitted. Then we can focus on that to which there are objections, and those will handle by description. You know, they object to Exhibit 100. It's a, I don't know, it's a gun, something like that. Whatever. The point is, let the ones that please between now and the next time we go on the record confer so that you know what they're offering. So the defense knows what they're offering, and so that the state knows what the defense is expected to object to or not. And we can handle this on the record as swiftly and practically as possible. So we're off the record. Thank you. How about, what is it? Why don't we go back on the record at 2:15 and we'll do exhibits then. But please, sometime between now and then, get with your opponent and
Just so you know,
make sure.
the likelihood is that we don't have any objection to any state's exhibits, with the exception of statements and reports being offered because we've already been testimony. Tom's going to go over that with...
Or draw all those appropriate statements.
Well, it's not a question of withdrawing or not. It's a question of will you offer them.
Right.
I mean, we have a certain block of materials already in evidence, and you have a decent list of what those are, right, Ms. Barnett?
Yes, Your Honor.
And remember joint 1 from today.
And there's going to be a sub-part of that, Your Honor, which we fill out in the document. I just want the state to represent for the record what that is, and we will agree that it can be presented to the court. But I'm not familiar with it. I just wondered if some on the record is the state's representation of the document, and then it can be received.
Well, this could be,
It won't be much.
like I said, on the record, let's make sure we describe them in as terse a fashion as possible, 1 through 1,000. And then if 1,001 is something you think there needs to be an oral written record, 1,001 is such and such, we can handle that individually. But we have a lot of them, we shouldn't go over them all of them individually. By the way, I have, I think this is a copy of Joint 1. You might want to hold on to that. Although it is in evidence. Is that an extra copy?
That's yours, Your Honor. That was my only copy I had. I thought the state was going to provide a color copy. Is that the color copy?
We're trying to get a bigger, I think it was in color.
Well, I'll leave it.
Hard to read, there's a little line.
Or we'll substitute that whenever.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.